Hi everybody, sorry I'm a little bit late if you're joining me live. So in this video I want to talk about your healing journey, creating a personal handbook if you've got ME, CFS, fibromyalgia. So what would it be like to know exactly what to do to avoid boom and bust? To know exactly what to do when you're experiencing a setback? To know how to cultivate a mindset that's going to support a quicker recuperation if you do experience a setback. What to do if someone's making disparaging comments about MECFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID. So in this video, I'm going to talk about, I don't know why my alarm's going off, why this is important and how to go about this. So let's start with that question. Why is it important? So if you've got ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, then reducing stress levels can literally affect your body's healing. When you activate the parasympathetic nervous system state, it switches on energy production and storage. When we're in sympathetic arousal, in a stress state, your body stops producing and storing energy. So you use up your energy, but you don't replace it. It can affect your sleep. So you can experience restorative sleep when you're in the parasympathetic state. And this is where your body's doing important repair work so that your normal healthy person is ready to go the next day. It switches on your digestive system, which means that the building blocks for energy are reaching your cells. It affects your immune system. Your immune system works more effectively, and it affects your capacity for clever creative thinking, problem solving. Okay, so in this video I want to share how to create personalized strategies if you have these conditions to support your healing journey. I'm going to share a mindset shift that was a game changer for me. Once you embrace it, it is life-changing. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can access a resource to get you started. Don't know why that's happening. So if you don't know me, my name's Simon Pimenta. I had MECFS fibromyalgia for 8-9 years, and I went from not being able to walk for 1 minute at times to going back to work, getting back to life, going to festivals, playing sport, etc. I've got a little injury that slowed me down a bit, but life is still great. And what really helped me, having tried lots of things, nutrition, supplements, herbs, acupuncture, what really helped me was learning mind-body approaches, understanding what was keeping me stuck. And I share lots of free content and resources to help you move towards your health goals. So do hit the subscribe button if you're watching, hit the notification button, you'll be notified when I release more content. So let me know in the chat, have you ever had a moment where you did something that really helped navigate a challenging situation relating to ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID? It might have been a setback, it might have been how you dealt with strong sensations. I use the word sensation instead of symptoms. I don't know what's going on with my phone. It keeps going off. Just check I've not got any alarms on. No, it's just doing it of its own accord. I might even have to turn it off. Let's just do that so we're not bothered by it anymore. Okay, so you dealt with that situation in a resourceful way, but when you needed that resource again, or that resourceful approach, you couldn't remember what it was that you'd done. That happened to me on a number of occasions. On one occasion, I was experiencing flu-like symptoms, and I expected them to last a week or more. And I did some things that helped shift those symptoms within a few hours. Within a few hours, I felt dramatically different, but I couldn't quite remember what I'd done. Over time, I did realise some of the strategies that are helpful in that kind of situation. And so that's why I wanted to share something that's been helpful for me, which is creating a personal handbook, a toolkit of strategies that can support you, help you navigate the ups and downs of MECFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID related conditions. So why have a personal handbook? If you have joined me, do feel free to say hello. Nice to have people join me and interacting. Oops, sorry, my page has just covered all the video. So if you're living with chronic conditions, that they can feel unpredictable, overwhelming. But what if you had your own roadmap, a personalised guidebook with protocols that you trust, strategies that have worked for you, and reminders of what to do to help you stay regulated and resourced? I was inspired by a coach I worked with. He used to be an underwater bomb disposal expert, and he talked about the importance of having step-by-step checklists because his life literally depended on it. And I kind of think it's smart to apply the same clarity to healing and dealing with daily life with chronic illness. So their fan says hello. Hi there. Thanks for saying hello. So let's talk about the power of creating your own healing protocols. And this is where the personal handbook comes in. You can use a notebook. You can use an app called Evernote, which you can get on your phone or on your laptop. And that allows you to create little files or folders on a variety of topics. So I've got, if I looked at my Evernote, I've got strategies for setbacks, strategies for dealing with the pattern of boom and bust, strategies for dealing with people who are behaving in challenging ways, being dismissive of the condition, etc. So they're my go-to resources, and sometimes when people ask a question around those topics, I can look at my Evernote and share some thoughts with them. So think of it as having your own cheat sheet for self-care, healing, and navigating flare-ups. It will take a little bit of work, but in the long term, it's going to save you energy and support your body's healing. This brings me to the mindset shift that I mentioned, okay, which for me was a game changer. It's when you shift your focus from being problem oriented to solution oriented. Of course, it's important to feel your feelings if you're dealing with a challenge, a loss, grief, and for people with these conditions, there's a loss of the life that you had. So it's important to allow time and space for that. But it's also important that we don't get stuck in the problem. I used to be problem focused. An example of that is that I would dwell on symptoms, stressing that I was going to end up in hospital. Even though the probability was kind of lowish, maybe there was the chance of that happening. However, I was increasing the chance of it happening because I was stressing out so much. And I could really feel in my body that stress was just making me feel worse. And that would make it more likely. That's when I realized that I needed to be solution focused. I started focusing on what I could do in that moment to reduce the possibility and increase the possibility that my body could heal. Okay? And that looked like doing relaxation, just noticing those thoughts that were ramping up my nervous system. I was trying to explain to someone today that your mind can switch on the fight-flight mechanism, the stress response, okay? Our mind can switch it on. Our mind can help switch it off, okay? So if you recognize you can be a bit problem-focused, let me know in the chat if that's the case. Then being solution-focused is possible, okay? It can become a habit. You just need to practice it. If there's a challenge we're dealing with that we can't change, we need to accept it. If it's something that we can change, then we need to take action. Sometimes people make the assumption that it's something they can't change. So we need to really check whether our beliefs are true. As I say, it might be taking a breath, it might be practicing meditation, reassuring the scared part of you that things will be okay, as you would a scared child. Because when that part of us feels heard, it can actually discharge emotions. And then it's more open to being guided. Okay, so how do we begin? So first of all, we need to identify the areas that, or you need to identify the areas that you need support in. So these are some of the areas you might want to include in your personal handbook. But think of them as prompts. You don't have to tackle them all at once. You could just focus on one thing over the next week, and you can build it slowly over time based on your needs and experiences. So let's look at mind, body and emotional support first. So you could have a catalogue of nervous system regulation techniques that you find helpful. It's always useful to try new things because you might find something else that resonates. You might have a kind of step-by-step guide for mindfulness. Okay, is that something that you're familiar with, that you know how to do? It's a really useful tool to have in your toolkit. You might have some strategies around journaling. Okay, for me, for example, when I journal, I allow myself to get out of my system whatever I'm preoccupied by, and I always do it in a way that I allow myself to say whatever I need to say, and I end with thinking of what's one or two or three positive actions I can take, and what is one of those that I can take today. Okay, have you got strategies for processing emotions? Have you got strategies for handling setbacks? Have you got strategies for dealing with identity shifts? So losing your sense of identity because you're unwell can really affect your mindset. So what are your strategies for doing that? I have made a video on that topic, so do a search on my channel around identity. Did it a while ago, so it might be on my Facebook group, MECFS Explored. Can't remember whether I put it on YouTube at the time. Dealing with grief. Have you got some strategies? Do you know what are some good approaches for dealing with grief? Do you know how to deal with medical gaslighting and gaslighting from other people? What about, let's look at the next topic, daily living routines. Creating a supportive rhythm. For instance, having low effort nutrition. Strategies to help you sleep if that's an issue. Creating a healing friendly home setup. So next topic, relationships and boundaries. Do you have strategies for communicating your needs? Strategies for setting kind boundaries? Do you have a framework for that? When I learned assertive communication, I actually, it helped me feel more comfortable and confident about setting boundaries. What about finding a supportive community? You may already be a member of a Facebook group, and I hope if you are, that it's a supportive, positive community that is solution focused, recovery focused. You are welcome to join my Facebook group. I'll put the link below this video. And twice monthly, I do resilience group coaching sessions. There's no charge for that. You're welcome to make a donation if you wish, if you can afford it. But everybody is welcome. If you'd like information about that, pop the word group below. Next topic, practical tools and tracking. So do you set micro goals and celebrate the wins? One of the things we do in the resilience group coaching call is, after we've done a guided relaxation just to help you land, we celebrate wins, and there are important reasons for celebrating wins. When we acknowledge wins and get into the habit of doing that, celebrate them, we're wiring our brain to get better at doing that. And also, when we celebrate the wins, the body produces feel-good hormones that actually boost your immune function. Okay, so have you got strategies for dealing with when you experience symptoms, sensations? So have you got strategies around time management? For instance, it's definitely not good to get really rigid about these things. But for example, I find it really useful to be intentional about how I use my time. And I'm more efficient when I do that. So for example, I might say to myself, right, I'm going to focus on this one task for X number of minutes. Usually for me, it's about 50 minutes, an hour. Then I take a break. And that just helps me be more efficient. Sometimes in the past, I work on something for too long and I'm actually not getting much done. And it's kind of just making me feel a bit more tired, which means when I go to the next task, I'm not ready and refreshed. Whereas if I keep taking those breaks and, you know, it might be I move my body when I have a break or go and sit in the garden for 10, 15 minutes, then I feel fresher. I feel more efficient. Okay. So next one, healing and hope. Have you got quotes, stories of resilience that kind of give you inspiration and comfort? Have you got calming strategies? Have you got reminders of your worth? So I've shared a lot of areas there, but I invite you to consider what feels most challenging for me right now. Where do I feel a bit lost? Where do I wish I had a go-to strategy? And then begin building from there. As I say, you could just focus on one thing each week. And you're going to compile a handbook to support you. And to support you, if you'd like that list that I've just shared as a PDF, comment list below. And do subscribe, follow me, because I'm going to be releasing cheat sheets on these topics. And if you'd like my guide to faster healing if you've experienced a setback, then let me know. Pop the word heal in the chat. I've created a PDF with 32 strategies to actually, no, that's another document. So I've created a document to help you. Let's just find it. It's called the Heal Faster Playbook, 12 strategies to help you come out of setbacks more quickly. And the front page has the list of the 12, so you can identify the thing that would be most useful for you to focus on straight away. So if you've got any questions, let me know in the chat. If you've got any suggestions for topics that I should cover or cheat sheets that you think would be useful, let me know. So consider that your healing journey is personal. It's not about having all the answers. It's about knowing what supports you best, having the reminders that you need. Because what happens is when we are in a state of stress, we tend to think in a more reactive way, and that makes us more emotional. Okay, so as I say, if you'd like me to create a cheat sheet on any topic, let me know. If I feel like that'd be useful for others, then I will create that. So thanks everybody for joining me. It's nice to have people here. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. As I say, if you've got any topics you'd like me to cover, let me know. Keep going. Wishing you great health. Dare to dream big dreams. Bye for now.